How to avoid gold diggers and falling into the trap of dating and possibly even marrying, having kids with a gold digger. Now, this is a little bit more deep than most other videos that I'll make because a lot of the men who have married a gold digger, even to this day, if they've been together for many years, they will never realize that their wife never loved them and still doesn't really love them because she shows so many real signs that she's in love with him, she needs him, but in reality, she just loves the lifestyle. She loves what he can provide. And she cannot discern the difference between the man and the lifestyle. And now, that is, in a way, okay for the wealthy man. Sorry, hopefully this music's not too loud. It's usually okay as long as he remains successful until he dies. She has a bunch of kids, they build this little empire, they have a whole bunch of kids that are going to grow up wealthy, and his genes are going to move on to the future and multiple generations down the track. But he will never know, as long as he doesn't lose his wealth and that he doesn't make any major mistakes. She was happy to just be with him for his money almost forever, when she isn't or never really was entirely in love with him. And it's hard to tell the difference. Was she really in love with him or was she not? And one thing I've learned from growing up amongst multiple generations of women, so for instance, my parents got divorced when I was probably 1 year old, and my mum was a single mother and we're living in the ghetto. Both my aunties were also failed women. They couldn't keep their men. Both my aunties had, one had 2 daughters, the other one had another daughter. I had a whole bunch of cousins. I've got a sister. My grandmother couldn't keep her man either. And I was surrounded by multiple generations of women. And part of the reason why a lot of men that grow up with a single mother, they fail in life, is because the female part of this whole relationship is really just find a guy that has resources. If she is totally and utter useless, which is, dare I say it, a large percentage of women worldwide, their career strategy is just find a guy that has the means to give her a lifestyle. For instance, my mother went to her, she remarried not too long ago, and this man has a lot of money, and she went to her high school reunion, and she was paraded around as if she was the most successful when she hasn't achieved anything in her entire life. So imagine if a man was paraded around when his only achievement was, I don't know, winning the lottery or something. Most people would understand that he never earned anything. You have to earn it as a man. But as a woman, you just need to lock down and manipulate somebody who has those resources. And let's just make it very clear, that's not all women. There's a large percentage, I don't know what the percentage is, I don't know the actual data on it, but there's a large percentage of women who aren't gold diggers. They legitimately are boss babes. They will wash the dishes, they will do the manual labor, they will wait tables, and they'll do it with a smile on their face, and it doesn't matter how much money you have, they'll be happy. They are still a large percentage of society. Because if you think about it, if the parasitic women were the majority of the female gender worldwide, the global economy would totally collapse. And there are a lot of good ones out there. But if you are a man of means, you have to be very careful. I would say if you want to find genuine love, you want to try to hide your wealth early on. You don't want to be, you might act, in the early stages, you might have to lower your standard of living. You might have to start to ask a lot of questions about how much does that cost? Oh, we should take the cheaper option. We're not going to take a holiday this year. Try to avoid your lifestyle looking too wealthy in the early stages of the relationship, and test her to see what she's made of. You can't have it both ways. Oh, I need to do a trip overseas, so I got to take her with me. You just can't take it. You can't do the trip. Maybe even downgrade your house or apartment and rent out somewhere. And try to downgrade your lifestyle in the early phases of the relationship. And if you're wealthy enough to have money to splash around, you should have the means to rent a smaller apartment and hide your wealth. In Australia, we have a thing called tall poppy syndrome, where it is kind of frowned upon. It is the opposite of the American and somewhat the British culture, where they try to constantly show up each other, try to look more wealthy and successful and big note each other. In Australia, it's kind of the opposite. If you try to let everyone around you know that you are wealthy, then it's kind of frowned upon. It really is. And if you could take on that one aspect of Australian culture that I would say is world class, then you'll be ahead of the majority of men out there that lead with their wallets. And there's a lot of men out there that have money, but they don't realize that they're leading with their wallets. They're going out to expensive restaurants without even realizing that they are that expensive, and that she wouldn't be able to afford to go to the restaurant herself. You're gonna have to start eating sushi. You're gonna have to start getting some takeaway and eating it in the park. You're going to have to start eating at home. Because wouldn't you want to find true love anyway? Wouldn't you? Sure. If you are the type of guy who doesn't really care as long as you have a good time, and I think some men would feel that way, but I think you should be careful, because later on in your life, if you lose most of your money, you're going to lose her, and you're going to be wrecked. So there is another part of this as well that I think is important, is the moment the relationship starts to get serious and you think that this is the girl that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, and you are certain that you will never break up, that's the moment that you need to start hiding your assets. You move in together. That's when you start removing the money from your bank account and pretending that you're spending it on gambling or something, and hiding it somewhere in a trust. Send it to some island in some, tax haven on the other side of the world under somebody else's name, and hide it. and start moving your money away and hiding it from her early on in the relationship. All of your profits moving forward should start to be hidden. That is what the wise men do, especially in this day and age. So it's a little bit of a ramble, but I think it all ties in quite well. Hopefully that makes sense. If you've got money, be careful out there. Just be very careful. It's really important that you be careful. I'll see you guys in the next video.